What are the top 3 things you like so far being here?
1, it's crowded. I love that, being able to walk in places. 2, man, that's a great question.
You don't even like being here.
I actually hate it here. I'm not even gonna lie. It's cold. It's a crisp 39 degrees today. Got my turtleneck out. You never see me bust out the turtleneck in LA. Oh my goodness. So we're about 3 months into the move now. Everything has been locked in, smooth. Everything's working out perfectly. And I've been kind of taking the time out to wonder why this move has been so smooth, almost to the point where like the feeling of home was immediate right when I landed. And it's not because I moved here at the beginning of spring when New York City gets a little bit nicer. It's not because of the food, the music, the street photography, or the vibes. It's none of those things. I'm going to easily overcomplicate something that could probably be summed up in a sentence. So I made a pretty similar video a few months back revolving around the sentiments of where I grew up, and it's a pretty indescribable feeling that you probably shouldn't grossly oversimplify through logic. But for this video, as a typical man does, I'm going to grossly oversimplify a feeling through logic, and I have 3 working theories that I want to share with you. We're going to start with number 1, which is the people theory. And this is the idea that a place can feel like home based on the quantity or the quality of the people that you know. The second theory, which is probably the one that applies to me the most, is the room theory. Now this one gets interesting because it's the idea that a place can feel like home based on how many rooms you've been in. We'll definitely get into that one. And the third one, which partially applies to me, is the ownership theory. And this is the idea that a place can feel like home if you feel like you can own a corner or claim a piece of it in your heart. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about a city where I almost moved to instead of New York. Eric, what are we doing today, man?
Podcast.
Podcasting.
That mic is bigger than the camera.
I know, right? Not too bad.
How does it sound?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Hey, my name's Gene Yoon.
Hi, I'm Shua. My name is Eric Floberg.
Hey, my name is Steven Schultz.
Hi, I'm Liz Tassoni.
My name is Braxton Wallace.
I'm Jabberson Cartwright.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
Been in Creative Club for about 4 months now.
First time I tried to convince Chris to move here was 2 minutes after he stepped foot in CCC when I met him for the first time.
He was also telling us a lot about how he was not super happy with LA, how he was considering moving.
When we were in Sacramento, I think that was also one of the times all of us tried to convince Chris.
But I was trying to put Chicago on his radar as hard as possible because we were here.
We thought Chris would fit in perfectly because he's just such a close friend of ours, and it made a lot of sense.
Everything we had at Creative Club seemed like he'd be a great fit here, given that we do a lot of the same things, that we gel really well together.
This is a live recreation of Chris trying to set up a talking head. No, Gene, down here!
You need to...
2 or 3 days he was in Chicago, I was already begging him to come to Chicago, and then every time I see him since then, I've asked him at least twice. This could be you every day.
It could have been.
Could have been.
Damn. Oh man, I love the Chicago guys and everything that they got set up over there. I really haven't seen anything like that in any other city. The way that they collaborate together and the work they produce is just so high quality. And you two brought us all together. What did you do? Oh, ew. Sorry, quick interruption.
Wait, what? Hi. What is happening right now?
And if you think about it, moving to Chicago would have been easier because I knew more people there. They were of high quality. We worked super well together, so based on this people theory, it should have been an easy shoo-in. But there would have been one small problem with this move, and we'll touch lightly about it in the second theory, but more so in the third theory. But people can't make a home. A beautiful city is just concrete, wood, glass, all that stuff. And without people, it's not going to become anything more than that. But is this theory always true? I mean, there is a reason why these are called theories. Please let me know down in the comment section about what you think about the people theory. Like, for a big metro like this, does the quality and the quantity of the people make it feel like a home? And it's probably the worst when it doesn't, right?
Did I mention that you didn't come here?
So let's talk about the room theory. So the room theory is like this. Say for example, you have a map of the entire city that you live in, kind of like a video game, and it's covered up in fog. You have no idea where most things are except for this one point where you start off on. And with each new room that you enter, whether that's like a gym, a cafe, a restaurant, or somebody's home, that's adding to your bar of discovery. Back in the Bay Area, I've been in a lot of rooms and buildings, and I have a lot of memories attached to those addresses. And when a certain area has been covered so much, I can build a sense of confidence and connection with it. And with that growing confidence comes the feeling of establishing a home territory. New York City, as you can imagine, is a very large place, but once you start to live here, it does still feel that way, but at the same time, it feels very small. Van Neistat put it perfectly. New York City is made up of just a lot of rooms, but you can even see the parks like Washington Square Park as one big room, Soho as another one, and so on and so forth. I think the room theory works for me the most because I love access. With every place that I discover for myself and that I start to frequent, I feel like I'm gaining keys to these buildings and to these neighborhoods. Another reason why this working theory resonates with me is because when I meet other people who have been in a lot of rooms as well, I feel like I can connect with them a lot more and ask them about their own personal history being on certain parts of New York and different boroughs, and then they could share their stories of how they met so-and-so or did this and that in that particular area. And then I just find all of this human history very beneficial for my own way of photography, of art, and just connecting with humanities of other people. And what's unique about the layout of New York City is that you could peer into a lot of different places just from looking up. The windows are open on every single building, and you kind of get like a slight percentage of knowledge about the residents and the spirit that kind of fills up that space. And it's partly because of this theory why Chicago would not have worked out for me, because after the partying is over with all those guys, I wouldn't know where to go, and I don't feel connected to Chicago like I do over here in New York. So life would feel so much more hollower without those guys around.
Wanted to get more of you guys in the space, so we've been working with Chris as our first artist in residence. Basically just a studio that we rent out to photographers. We are both film photographers, so we have a special love for other film photographers. And so our artist in residence program is we're basically working with just other, film photography artists and photographer artists.
So what is ownership in a big metro like this? Because ownership usually implies property, but this theory doesn't actually touch upon that. Because what I'm trying to get at is this special kind of pride you can get about anything because you know so much about it or you just love it that much. A great example are Knicks fans. Knicks fans will kick the teeth out of your mouth if you're anything but one of them. Boston, Philly, and Hawks fans are top 3 most wanted for them. And just the way they protect their ground is a perfect visualization of this theory. You were either born into it or committed long enough to say that you can legitimately own it. And there's not a pulse of a feeling that you are an outsider. The last part about owning something though, is the stripes you earn from the challenges you face. I chose to do this alone and to want to carve my own thing into this city. It was the least comfortable option, but I felt like it was more my tune, and it was ultimately why I chose New York over Chicago or anywhere else. I wanted to earn a spot on my own, like the people who embody their pride in their spot. I feel like for a place for as big as where I live now, of course I'm not going to feel like I own anything, it's only been a couple months, but I think it's going to be really fun to get down to that part. It's like getting to know a pretty lady. So, for now, this place is home. I'm home.
Alright, here we go, third take.
Woo!
Real quick, Ali. Got me breathing with dragons. I'll crack the egg in your basket, you bastard. I'm Marilyn Manson with madness. Now just imagine the magic I like to ask is don't ask for your favorite rapper.
He dead.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Church.
He dead.
I killed him.
Amen.
Bitch. And this is rigor mortis, and it's gorgeous when you die. I recorded and I'm Morpheus, the matrix in my mind. I'm out the orbit, you an orphan and a hairdresser combined. I'm on the toilet when I rhyme. If you the shit, then I decline. I climax where you begin and then I end on cloud 9. And that's important when you morph into an angel in the sky. And don't be forging all my signatures. My listeners reply and tell me that you biting style. You got a hell of an appetite, and I'm a beer for a while. Just buckle up before the ride, or knuckle up if you can fight. We always making them duck or die. A suit and tie is suitable, and usual is suicide. CSI just might investigate this fucking